Hey everyone, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. So today I just kind of want to talk about my debt-free journey and how I've gotten here and the steps that I've taken in order to make this a reality for myself and the next steps to come for me in the sense of what I plan on doing with like my money, how I plan on handling it, sorting it, and like just other things that I want to happen as I go forward. So, just going to share a little bit of that perspective with you all. Um, I do want to say and acknowledge that we are in different times. So, when I went through school, financial situation was different, but I strongly believe when there's a will, there's a way. You can make it happen as you see fit. So take the gems that you want and leave the things that don't apply. That's really all I got to say about it. But before I get into it, I want to talk about just overall like my mindset on money and kind of how that's influenced, how I've navigated my financial journey. Or my finances in general. So first things first, I'll say is I don't like being in debt. I'm 100% do not like it. I don't like owing people money. I don't like any of that type of stuff. I don't have any credit card. I never have had a credit card specifically. And so, but yeah, I'll get into that in a little bit. But like my first lesson with money was one that came when I was about 16 years old. And I got my first job. So I turned 16, like maybe that Thursday. I started work that Sunday. My birthday's in August. So over the summer, I had borrowed $50 from my younger sister. And I was like, I'll pay you back. I'm going to get a job soon. Like, I'll pay you back. And so my first job was one where I had worked for tips only. So I would go in, I bagged groceries on the Air Force Base at the commissary. So those of you all are Air Force babies or military babies, you all will know. You have baggers there. They work for tips only, so please tip them. But yeah, I was one of those people that worked for tips only. On my first day, I came in, I made $100. I came home and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, this is so great. Look at all the money I made at 16 years old, just working from 10 to 6 p.m. Like, I got $100. This is amazing. And she looked at me. She was like, yeah, I'm really proud of you, X, Y, and Z. Now you need to go pay your sister back the $50. And I was like, what? I was like, can I pay you back next weekend? She was like, no, you need to pay your debts now, X, Y, and Z. So I felt a way about that, but that lesson stuck with me because now I'm in that mindset where I don't like owing people money. So let me just pay you and go as I need to go. So with that being said, that kind of really influenced my approach when it was time to look for college, like go to college and et cetera. And now I'm kind of going to get into my financial journey, my debt-free journey. When I went to start applying for university, I remember like 11th and 12th grade, we're starting to have these conversations in the sense of what's school going to look like, what school you should go to and doing like these college tours and all that. And I remember I went into the guidance counselor one day because I was looking into a school, I think it was UCA at the time that I was looking into potentially going to. And they started breaking down the costs for me because I was like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Like, this sounds great. Like, what are the costs? Y'all, I remember it had to be like $8,000 a semester. I think this is off my mind. It may have not been that. That's just the number that's coming to mind. Either way, whatever that number was, I saw that number and I was like, how am I meant to pay this? And I literally asked that out loud. And the guidance counselor was like, well, there's student loans, you can apply for scholarships and all that. And I'm like, in high school, I was not that bright. I mean, not that I wasn't bright, but I was not applying myself to work. I was like, I don't have the credentials to have a scholarship. So obviously this is going to have to be a loan. And I was just thinking in my head, like, that's a lot of money to pay back. Like, I don't know. Because also I was also in the space where I don't really know what I want to do with my life. So I don't know that this is like the right approach. So anyways, I ended up going home and talking to my mom about it. She was like, Jess, because my mom has always been one of those people. And thank God, she's financially savvy herself, or at least she does well for herself in the sense of her bills are paid. But she told me, she was like, you don't want to owe people money. She was like, she's always instilled that in me. So she was like, Jessica, I beg, please don't go to that university and take out all these student loans. Consider like a 2-year college, see what you can do with that X, Y, and Z. So I started looking into that. At this time as well, the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship was coming out. And I remember with the Arkansas lottery, it was like, because it was like the new year for Arkansas, I was like, okay, like the qualifications to get it were pretty low when it first came out. And all you had to do was make like this certain score on the ACT. It was a relatively low score. And I'll be honest with y'all, before that, I wasn't doing well. I think I did the ACT. I think the lowest score I got on the ACT was like a 14. Terrible. Terrible. But listen, we prevailed. Okay. Life be lifing, but I got through it. So I took it again and I was like, okay, I have the GPA. It was probably like a 3.0. And that's probably what I had, a 3.0. I was like, I have the GPA. All I have to do is like apply myself with this ACT and see if I can get the score. I ended up applying myself to this ACT and I like literally just hit the cusp. I literally just hit it. I was like, thank God. So I would qualify for the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship now. Now, mind you, it doesn't pay for everything, but it does pay, it's something, right? It's a scholarship. It's going to help you. So I think I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Arkansas State University at Beebe, 2-year college, community college. That's where I ended up starting at. And my mom, she kind of made a deal with me. She's like, Jessica, I don't want you to take out these loans. If you go to the 2-year college, I will help you pay for this myself. And it worked. She's like, but you got to get that scholarship. So that was a part of the deal because she couldn't like afford the whole thing. And it ended up being like a semester, I think in totality, either $2,000 to $2,500 every semester at ASU BB. And then the scholarship covered, like when you went to a 2-year university, and again, this is when it first came out. I don't know what it covers now, but when it first came out, it covered a big portion of that. So let's just say that my college was $2,500 a semester. It covered $2,000 of it, and my mom ended up paying the next $500. Now, part of this deal was also, she was like, when you end up going to the 4-year university, you're going to have to take care of that yourself. And I was like, okay, so fair enough. Luckily, the scholarship was a 4-year thing, and the price increased as you go to like a different type of school. But for those first 2 years, yeah, my mom helped me. The scholarship covered the $2,000, and then my mom paid the $500 balance or whatever. And then I used to pay for books, or my dad would help me with books every so again. So that's sort of how like my first 2 years I was able to stay out of debt. I didn't have any college debt at that point. I was working full time. I lived at home, and that's just sort of how I covered it. So now the 2 years are up and it's time to go to big girl university. And I ended up going to University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And during this time, what I was doing, still working at the commissary for tips only, because that is a good job, y'all, just so you know. for kids in college, kids that live at home, high school, it's a good job. You're making some money. I don't know what it's like now, but it definitely was then. So at that time then, I ended up going to University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And during this time, I now had to take up the financial responsibility of it. So what I would do is that summer before I started, I worked really hard, saved my money so I could pay it off. Now, because of how the school was, it increased. I ended up having to pay from $1,000 to $1,500 every semester. That was what was left over, plus books. And sometimes, like I said, my dad would help me with books at times. So that's how it went. Like, that's how I was able to stay debt-free in college, in undergrad. I didn't have any loans when I came out of undergrad. I graduated with a 3.85 GPA, and I just worked. So that was really good for me. And I remember telling myself, like, as I was going through undergrad or whenever when I was finished, like I had the 3.85 GPA. I was like, I ain't paying for grad school. I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't know where I got the confidence, but I told myself I'm not doing it. I was like, I worked really hard. I worked through undergrad. When I go to grad school, it's going to have to be paid for me. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to make it happen, and did. And so when I was applying for Missouri State University to get my master's, I think I told you all a little bit of my journey in one of my other videos about, just the rejection and et cetera that I faced. But anyways, got into Missouri State University, and I was very intentional. I tried to be intentional. This wasn't across all the schools that I applied to, but like for the master's program, I tried to apply where I could at least make something, like get something back. So I had gotten into some school in New York. I can't remember what master's school it was, but I was waitlisted in this school in Kentucky, and then Missouri State University. I was waitlisted and then like was accepted in. And I remember when I got into the school in New York, I was like, okay, do y'all have any like assistantships, graduate assistantships that I can leverage so to kind of help me get through? And he was like, no, he was like, we do have like this partnership with this transportation spot, but it's not going to cover everything. And I was like, ooh, I would have to have a loan. With Missouri State University, prior to me applying, like I knew they had assistantships. So that was kind of like one of my top schools. I was like, I definitely want to get into this school if I can, because I'll make it work. And it ended up like working out that way. So I was waitlisted. And then when I got in, I said, hey, is there any way that, any assistantships that y'all have open? Because I wasn't selected for, a research assistantship or anything. Because again, like I was waitlisted. Like, why would I be top selection for that? But they did have some throughout like the school, like graduate assistantships that I applied for and I got it. And I was working in the provost office. But I remember like it was going to cover, it wasn't a lot of money. It was not a lot of money, but you know what? It covered me. It covered my room and board. That's all I needed. Like I had an apartment that was literally, like with electricity and TV all included and Wi-Fi. It was $600 a month. I got paid $900 a month, and like 60% of my money went to living expenses, and then I had $300 for groceries. And then again, like my mom was able to help me with like my phone bill and car insurance. So yeah, that's how it went when I went to my master's program. And then when I went to my PhD program, it was one of those PhD programs where you're fully funded for at least 3 years. But by the time I got to my PhD program, I did take a left turn a little bit with the finance piece. I was like, I don't want to continuously having to depend on my parents to help me. Like I'm grown. I think at this time I'm 25, going on 26. I was like, I need to work it out. And so I ended up taking out loans. I did end up taking out loans in this time of my life. And I took out $16K in total. And that was just to like cover things. I did use it to go spend money on stuff. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the wisest choice, but I did use it. And so, yeah. So from 2018 to about 2020, when I got towards the end of 2020, I started actually paying back on those loans because I was like, ooh, I got lucky though, because when I was in school, I don't think I was getting charged interest rate, or if I was, it was like it wasn't a lot at this time. And then COVID hit, and so the interest rate froze. So that kind of helped, like that, the economy in such a weird way kind of helped me with not like accruing a whole bunch of interest on those student loans. And so that was good. But then I was like, as I was like going through, like we had that grace period. I was like, let me just try to get it down as much as I could. So all throughout like 2020 and 2021, I was paying back on it, like trying to just pay back on it, etc. There was a point where in 2021, I also got LASIK eye surgery. And I remember it was like $4,000. And I remember having $2,000 to like give to it right now. Cause like, y'all, I'm one of those people where I really want to like just pay it off if I can. Like if I can pay it off right now, I will. But I didn't have the extra $2,000, but it was kind of an emergency type of surgery because my eyes were going bloodshot red whenever I had on contacts. And I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but this got to get handled. So I ended up getting the surgery. I ended up getting this card that they give. Like it was like a bit of a health, I don't know what it was. It was some sort of health card. I paid $2,000 cash and I put $2,000 on whatever this card was. It wasn't a credit card. It was some sort of other card. And when I did that, y'all, within like the next month, it was paid off. I was like, all this money is going here. Like I'm not messing around with this. Because yeah, it had like a whole year of no interest, but as soon as that interest rate was gonna hit, it was gonna be like 26%. I was like, baby, no, I ain't doing that to myself. So, so yeah, like that's kind of how that went. And so, as I was paying down like my student loans throughout 2021, I think I got to like 8K, and then I ended up moving to London in 2022, early 2022. And I just still had that student loan there, and I wasn't really paying much on it. It was just kind of there lingering. I was like, now at this time, I think the interest rate, the grace period had gone. So at this time now, like I have to like, start paying this stuff back. And interest is accruing and I need to pay it back. And I just kind of sat on it for a while. I was like, every so often. Like the thing is, I had the money. Like that's another reason why I wasn't in a rush, but I had the money and I was leaving it in my savings account. So that was another reason why I was like, I'm not really in a rush. I know I can pay it whenever. It's not like a big pain in my butt or anything. But honestly, y'all, like come this year, I was like, let me just pay it off. Like, let me just get it done. So, and I'll say, like, sometime last year, I did put some money on it. I think I put $4,000 on it last year in December, and then it was like 4,000 left. I was like, I literally could just pay this. I was like, why am I wasting my time? So there you go. I just paid it. So recently, I just paid it, and I paid it. Like if you follow me on Instagram, it was sometime like last month in June. And I was like, I'm totally debt free. But something I left out though, I did leave something out. I just thought of it was I got in a car accident in 2020. This was another thing that helped me with paying off some of my student loan debt in like 2020, 2021. Because I got in a car accident. I wasn't at fault. I wasn't at fault. The other girl was at fault. And so I was able to get some money back from that just through being in that car accident. And I did use some of that to pay off some of my debt. But with that, I also ended up purchasing a car. And I did have some debt on that. I ended up putting, I think, either 8 to 10K down on that car. And when I ended up getting the job in London, I ended up just selling the car. So I sold the car. And with that, I was like, okay. I got like, I sold the car and then I got like the 10K that I put down on it. So it really wasn't bad. Like I just got back what I put on. But right now I don't have a car. I don't have any credit cards. So, as you all know, I live in Chicago. So I tend to just walk a lot. I tend to catch the bus, public transport, Uber, just because I could get a car, but I'm also in a place where I don't really need it, to be honest. And I feel next time I get an expense like that, like a car, I just really rather be able to pay it off cash. I don't want to have a car payment. I don't want to have to. I just don't want to do it. A car payment plus car insurance plus car parking out here is insane. Like that's like another like $1,000 a month. If I'm being honest with you all, especially like living in Chicago where you have to be and all that. I'm good. So yeah, so I haven't had a car since I sold my car in 2021, end of 2021. So I've been carless for the last about 3 years. And I just plan on keeping it that way until I really need to get one. Um, but yeah, like going forward, I've been giving some thought to credit cards in the sense of for like traveling. Because again, like when I pay for everything, I pay for it cash. I've never had a credit card. I've never had a physical credit card. And I think going forward, I think I could get one, but just use it for my travels and then just pay it off, just to kind of help with my paying off my debt. Sorry, not paying off my debt, building up my credit. My goodness, building up my credit. But I'm still thinking about it. But I noticed like a lot of people, like my brother was telling me, hey, I get a lot of free flights with having a credit card. It's silly not to have one. Like just get it and don't use it for the other stuff. I just worry about myself, y'all. Like if I see something cute, I'm gonna get it. And I still operate that way. I just use my savings. So that's the thing too. Like I've been reading this book. I'm trying to get better, like overall financially. I have been reading this book. It's called, let me pull it up. It's called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I found out about him through The Diary of a CEO, and I was like, oh, let me read his book. So I've been reading it now, and it's really helping me like just kind of change my perspective on money and risk and all those types of things that come with it, and like investing and all of that, and helping me like, because I grew up like while my mom like was very much savvy from a sense of you pay your bills. If you owe people money, you pay them back. Like you don't have that type of stuff over your head. Although she was living paycheck to paycheck herself, I don't think none of us had really much understanding of like the stock market, how to invest, how that operates. And so now I'm sort of taking the time to like explore what that's about and what that looks like and how do I navigate that and how do I get my returns and what is a good investment and etc. So reading this book has been really helpful. I think right now that I'm like just totally debt free, I have nothing hanging over my head right now, touch wood. I've always been somewhat of a saver, but I could be better. And my problem is that I spend a lot of money on stuff like clothes, like nice, like just living in a nice space, all of that. And so I want to get to a space where I'm still living well, still able to kind of keep all that going, but just being a little bit more frugal with what I choose to do that with and maybe where I shop and all of that. And I also am looking into getting like multiple streams of income, however I can find it. I think it's easily said. Like people say that stuff all the time, but it's kind of hard to make that happen. You know what I mean? Like you have your main source of income, but you want to look for different streams. And I'm like, okay. And it kind of comes into you like looking at your skill set and like what type of skills do I have that I can give and share back and etc. So yeah, this is where I am. But I think in the near future, just going to continue to save. Still giving some thought to the credit card piece because I'm not 100% bought into that. I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey too. That's another thing. So when I listen to Dave Ramsey, I'm like, oh, y'all know Dave Ramsey is anti credit cards, and for good reason. I understand the philosophy behind it. So yeah, yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like I said in the beginning, when there's a will, there's a way. I was able to get through school, pretty much my undergrad and my master's debt free. And the only reason I got into debt for my PhD was because of a personal choice that I really didn't need to make. I could have went through that debt free as well. So just something for you all to consider. Again, I know times have changed. I know I've had support by my mom and like both of my parents and etc. You gotta, I would say, like, try to find what works for you. I know my sister, when she was in undergrad, she applied to so many scholarships and she got through. Like, she had like a, Coca-Cola scholarship. I don't know which scholarship she had, but that paid for her way through undergrad. So just something, especially for those of you that are in high school and trying to think about, oh, what is going to be my next move in college and all of that. Debt doesn't have to be an option. That's all I have to say about it. It doesn't have to be an option if you can help it. So thanks y'all for tuning in. I love sharing my journey with you all, my financial journey. I'll keep you posted on how it goes, but good luck to you all as you go through. For those of you who made it to this end of this video, good luck to you all as you go through your own financial journey. And I know it's a discipline. It's still an evolving one for me. So I know it's an evolving one for you, but don't be too hard on yourself. We will all figure it out. So I'll see you all next time. Bye.